Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. What I want to talk about in this video is something that I had been avoiding for quite some time, and that is this situation with Joe Biden's son. I had been avoiding this because I always felt like it was not worthy of my time. I didn't want to really spend any time talking about Joe Biden's son. I didn't care. I didn't think it was all that, all that great of a big of a deal. I'm like, oh, that seems to be something they're picking on. But as I dug a little bit deeper, I began to find out that, hey, certain people are protected. But I'm going to give you get into the details of that in my commentary a little bit later. But I just want to simply say that if you guys want to read the entire article on this situation I'm about to talk about right now, you can go to the description box below and read about our news, and you can find out for yourself. But I'm going to summarize the information in this article. So essentially, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, right, has been given a plea deal in reference to his dealings with a corporation or business in Ukraine that essentially that he was ousted to after he was kicked out of the Navy back in, I think, 2019. And we all know that he was accused of being on drugs, some say crack, okay, and that many critics criticize this as shady dealings and corruption, okay. And so, but what I found out in this article is essentially that Hunter Biden will be given a plea bargain, which would simply be he will be charged for tax evasion, federal tax evasion, and some type of a gun law situation. I don't know all the details. You can read the details of that. I'm just summarizing it. And basically, this will basically keep him out of jail. Okay, that's basically what it would do. It would keep him out of jail. And when I read this at length, I knew what it was, because simultaneously we have Trump here, and we all know the situation with Trump. They're trying to murder the man psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and politically. I mean, he has over 30 something counts of these so-called classified documents supposedly that he took, wasn't authorized to take. He has over 30 something different accounts in reference to it, and he faces a huge amount of time. I was hearing somewhere like 200 or 300 years, some real stupid sentence. And to me, it's obvious, and I feel like it should be obvious to anyone what is going on here. So let me just give you my commentary on it. To me, it's plain and simple. The favored people get protected, or rather, the protected people, let me rephrase that. The protected people get favored, okay? All right, they get favors that other people who are against the New World Order system and who are against the elite do not get. People make this assumption that billionaires are automatically corrupt. That's what they kind of made with Trump, that he's this huge billionaire. He wasn't the most saintly of men prior to getting into office. And, he was with all types of different women and all this kind of stuff. And he's this multi-billionaire. He's a super rich person. He makes up part of the 1%, And so just automatically, people assume that he's corrupt and he's evil and all this, because we've been conditioned to believe that anyway, right? And the problem is that that assessment does not measure under scrutiny. Because just because you're rich, okay, or a billionaire doesn't mean you're corrupt. And people have been trying for the longest to try to find all kinds of dirt on Trump since the man has been in office. Prior to him being in office, he was the greatest. From what I'm hearing, rappers were shaking hands with him, had him in all kinds of rap songs. The thugs in the hood looked up to him. I find that extremely interesting, right? What's his name? Jesse Jackson praised him for contributing to his organization, his Rainbow Coalition organization, which I find that strange, rainbow, right? But I'm just saying. And shaking his hands. I saw the video back in the 90s. I actually literally saw the video. Everybody praised him, but now that he has become president, he's the worst person that ever lived. But you know the story. The point is simply this. If you're not a part of the elite, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can be a billionaire, but if you are not a part of the swamp, okay, if you're not a part of the rats that's just swimming around. And you know what's interesting? Because they call them swamp rats. And these swamp rats are huge. These things are nasty and huge. And it's interesting about these swamp rats because swamp rats, it's like when you hear the term rat, automatically you think of what? Corruption. You think of nastiness and just evil and just filth. Here, let me tell you what this swamp thing is. The thing about a swamp in relation to a swamp rat is that in a swamp, the trees and the life there in terms of the trees and plants, after an extended period of time, they die out and they decay. And the water in that area becomes a swamp. Let me rephrase it. The water in the area becomes a swamp because everything that was alive in terms of the plants and so forth die and it becomes a swamp. Everything's in that area that used to be alive is dead. And swamp rats in the physical world live off of that. They're herbivores. They live off of that. If you are not a part of the swamp rat club, okay, doesn't matter how much money you have, you are going to get eaten by the swamp rats. You have to have protection because if you don't have any protection, you're going to be eaten. Hunter Biden is the son of one of the main swamp rats, where all of the plants that were alive are dead. And he's the son of that. So he's going to get protection from the other swamp rats. That's what we're seeing. Protection. He does no jail time, right? This is what this is basically going to pan out to be. He does no jail time. He'll go through this little program that'll help him with the guns and all this and whatever. But he does. He won't do any jail time. Meantime, they're trying to crucify Trump. This was from the very beginning. I said this and I'll say it again. Maxine Waters said this even before Trump was inaugurated in 2016, after he had won, but he hadn't gone through the processes yet, that we're going to impeach Trump. I remember her saying it. I saw the video. It wasn't a deep fake video. It was a real video of her saying that. That lets you know right then and there that something was not right. That something wasn't right, that something was on the rise, and they were going to try their best to destroy this man, and they have been trying to do it since then. They cannot get this man back in office. They have to do everything they can to stop him shy of actually taking his life physically. They know they're not going to do that. They don't want to do that because then he'll become a martyr, and they're going to catch all kinds of hell from conservatives or those who become overly angry, but I say don't fall for it. They're not going to do that. But what they're going to try to do is assassinate his character the best way they can. And the mainstream media is in on it as best they can. But let me sum the video up in this way. You can try your best. If you're in politics on a federal level, you can try your best to try to do the right thing, man. But let me tell you something. You better have God on your side. You better have some serious Holy Spirit anointing on you to be able to battle with those swamp rats right now, because you're going to have a hard time trying to change anything. And I believe most people who want to aspire to be politicians on whether the local level, state level, federal level, want to do so with a sincere heart. But there's so many swamp rats around, and there's so much dead plants that have created these swamps. It's hard to really weigh your options. It's hard to say, well, man, where can I go where there's some real people who really want to help the public and who really want to be for the people? Where is that at? It's hard to find. It can be found, I believe, but it's hard to find. So that's what I wanted to say here. It's bottom line. The bottom line is this, that this is favoritism, that he's protected because he's a part of the protected class. Trump isn't, though he may be a billionaire, he is not a part of their system, and they have to stop him. And anyone that comes against their system, they're going to try their best to stop. And that's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line right there. But that's what I had to say about that. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Finally, this guy, they get something on this guy, and all of a sudden now you want to protect him. Now he gets to have a plea bargain. I wonder if Trump's going to get a plea bargain. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. These people are cowards. These people are cowards. And if they don't get right, there's a place for them in the lake of fire. And I don't pray that on anybody. I don't pray, God, send them to the lake of fire. I don't pray that. But if you choose to live that life and you choose to reject salvation and you choose to be corrupt and you choose to be a part of the swamp and you die being in that swamp, bye. I don't feel sorry for you, because guess what? During the great white throne judgment, God's not going to feel sorry for him. God ain't going to be sitting up in the great white throne judge, sitting on his throne feeling bad. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you had a bad life. You had bad things happen to you. Man, go on. No, he's not going to feel sorry for you, because you had an opportunity to get yourself together. You had an opportunity to come up out that swamp, but you didn't. You stayed in the swamp of debauchery and nastiness and sickness and corruption. You stayed in it, even in the face of knowledge and understanding on how to get out of it. You stayed in it. So you chose to be in that mess. Now you got to reap it. I don't feel sorry for you, because God is not going to feel sorry for him. Bottom line. So that's how I'm going to end that video right there. What do you guys think about this whole situation with Hunter Biden getting his plea bargain? Leave your comments in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.